This is called fully decentralized applications, right? So you actually don't even use the actually DNS, right? To the resolve your website name. You actually go to ENS, which is actually part of the blockchain in Ethereum blockchain, Ethereum naming service. So it has a decentralized way of actually storing some information. Given this name, you give this information, right? That information can be actually a hash. A hash can be, it's like your MD5 hash. But in Ethereum and other cryptographic other blockchain thing, you use something slightly sophisticated, which is at least 32 bytes, just 256 bits. For example, Ethereum uses a keycap 256, things like that. So it's like some hash. But the important thing is that you have a decentralized data store now. Again, DB is actually a wrong word. You have decentralized data store. You have taken the exact peer-to-peer mechanism, the same underlying stuff, and then you build a protocol such that it can store your information in a decentralized fashion. Let's say you want to upload a file or something like that. So when you upload a file to a decentralized store, what it does is that it actually stores it in multiple places. It's not in one single place. Nobody knows where it is. And based on actually the routing, it actually tries to fetch the file when you access it, and then it actually gives back to you, right? So eventually what you will do is that you will actually create a front end with all the HTML and JavaScript and all the stuff that you want to do. You will upload that into a decentralized data store, and like that will give you a hash, right? Which uniquely will try to find everything inside this. So let's say all static files, all JavaScript files, all like HTML files, entire front end bundle, right? You just upload it here, you get one Merkle root, which is actually a hash, and then you store the hash in ENS. Now, when somebody calls my app.eat, so first it will go to ENS, give me this decentralized DB, and it will actually get the files from the decentralized DB to access the browser. So these files are the files that you will get when you do an HTTP request, right? It's the same HTML files. So your browser will actually render them, right? So you could store the entire front end itself in a decentralized fashion. And then you could store business logic in the chain and any decentralized stuff in the chain and any other stuff, right? An app can store a lot of other things, right? It can be stored in a decentralized data store and can be fetched every time. So there are, okay, again, people will ask, how can I store a decentralized DB, right? So it's like, again, a huge topic. It's very similar to blockchain, uses the same thing. And in fact, decentralized DBs use internally blockchain to incentivize and de-incentivize people who actually give me storage space, right, to store. Let's say I have like 500 GB free. I will go and add myself into this network and will kind of actually go and rent my 500 GB to the decentralized store. And what is getting stored there is actually pieces of encrypted information that nobody will be able to decrypt except the guy who knows the private key of all these things, which is you, right? So you have to write an app which can take this. And if you actually go and sign, if your signature is correct, then that means you know the private key and it can just actually display all these things. Now, so today's browser, they don't support this. Brave supports IPFS hash and other things. ENS is still supported. ENS, it can actually resolve to something. But if ENS actually has an IPFS hash, I think it will take the IPFS hash, go to IPFS, and actually fetch this stuff from IPFS and display. Okay, IPFS is like another parallel system that people built. So what I and others were building was actually Swarm, which is also very similar, but is more connected and more this thing. I don't want to go much deeper into that. So let's say that it's decentralized, and then it will actually look like this. So now you don't have any backend. You do all the logic that you want to do close to the user in the front end, and you want to store any critical stuff like actually moving money from here to this wallet to that wallet to this to that, all these kinds of stuff, the critical stuff inside this blockchain. So you write something called a smart contracts. There is a like a it's think of it like another programming language that will be executed by EVM, something like how Java is executed with executed inside actually the JVM. It will get executed, and based on the rules, if the rules are okay according to the protocol, it will actually try to do something, and that will be permanently stored in the chain, right? So this is how this next generation Web 2 looks like.